welcome to the Short Vol Show. And my hair is slowly coming back here a little bit, what's left of it. Actually, my hair's not too bad. I go back a little bit here, but besides that, it comes in pretty full. So today we are, people made a big deal last night, like the, this political news was the end of the world, we're going to spike and all this stuff, but market seems to be shaking it off as usual. Market seems to be shaking off the Michael Cohen conviction and Manafort conviction here. And well, we'll see. Let's take a look at markets here. I got off the gold train. I should have stayed on because we're up a lot from where I got off the train. I rode this from like 1180 to 1250 or something, and now GLD's up at 113. So really, I got off too early on this gold train, but I don't know if I want to jump right back on right now. But I should have just stayed on the gold train because the gold train rolls forward. Let's take a look at that real quick here. And here is me in front of the screen. So let me move myself out of the way. This is a 3-year chart behind me, which you really can't see because I'm in the way of it. But let me actually, that's the quickest way. Get rid of me completely. You see gold here in a 3-year chart, and we're low on the range but moving up. Now my idea, which was a good one, but I just didn't hang on long enough, was to jump in here. And so what I did was I did indeed jump in. I'm still trying to get my screen straightened out here, but yeah, I jumped in and I jumped in here around this 185 level and rode it up a little bit, but still ripping higher here as maybe a little bit of a fear trade, flight to quality, something like that trade. The VIX now renewed strength. It was kind of weakening earlier. Let's take a look at the chart here. We did have expiration, and there's always a little funny business in expiration. But if we just look at the daily chart on the VIX here, you're going to see it. It kind of faded from yesterday, like 4 a.m., the high 1322. It kind of was fading down, but now we're seeing it back up towards the highs again. Maybe as people, I don't know, wake up to the news, political news. Maybe reality seeks in a little bit. I think that a lot of this stuff was being sort of shaken off with the president and all that, but when you've got something in writing, I think that the news for the Cohen thing might have been a bit, it's a bit shocking. I think everybody thought that there was going to be, this guy was going to be found guilty and all that stuff, but I think it's a bit of a shock to many that there is this stuff all over the court documents saying, the president I did this, because the candidate told me to do it. So there's legal documents pointing to the president as being involved in this crime stuff. And I think that no matter which way stuff is spun, history is not going to look kindly on that in the long term. I really try to stay away from politics because I know that there's people with different views, and I respect you and I welcome you with every different view to join me here and talk about trading. So that's why I don't like to get too much into politics, because I know people are going to disagree with me no matter what I say. But just with that disclaimer, let me just say that we knew that the news yesterday was going to spike vol possibly, and it's up a little bit, but not really that much. But it might be sort of a more slower moving situation, and maybe here is an opportunity to get ahead of things. But when I think of myself, when you think about trading, think about like, what would you do personally? And then think, would other people do that too? Me personally, long stocks, along my 401k and stuff, am I going to get out of it because of a Cohen thing? Probably not. And I kind of feel like this is going to blow over. And even like, let's say, for example, that like the president got in some trouble or something like that. is that going to necessarily tank the markets? We don't know. There doesn't seem to be a whole lot of. I believe that the president is safe as long as the the Republicans are in the majority, and Republicans that are in Senate, they're not making a whole lot of noise about this right now. As long as Republicans that are in Senate are on the side of the president, then there's not a whole lot to worry about as far as the markets are concerned. I think, because I don't think anything's going to happen unless the Republicans in the Senate abandon the president, and they don't seem to be doing that. So that's my 2 cents right now. Okay, so expiration. Let's take a look at the future for a second here. I'm not seeing a whole lot of funny business as far as futures for expiration are concerned right here. Once again, I did mention gold's up. VIX up a little bit, 13.28, up 42 cents. I was tweeting a little bit about my positions yesterday. I have sort of interesting setup right now. So here's what my positions are for the VIX is VXX. I am short a call vertical spread. So I'm short the October 28.32 call vertical. So in October, if I pull this up behind me, I've sold the 28 call. It's small, but I sold the 28 call and I bought the 32 call. So, and the point of this is to take advantage of contango and decay, and the bet is that VXX will be 28 or below in 58 days, 2 months. So contango has been hanging out or up and around 10%. Let's say it were 10%, just for sake of argument here. You have a $30 issue, and 10% of 30 is $3. So this thing, if contango stays at 10%, this thing, all things equal, is decaying by about $3 a month. Okay, so right now it's 30. $3 brings you to 27. Also, volatility right now is 13. Kind of about average about what it's been, 12, 13. If you listen to the conversation that I had with Mark Sebastian in the last interview, we get into this idea of zones, and I guess we can credit Andrew G for these zones, but a lot of what Mark was saying is very, very interesting also, which is basically that volatility stays around 12 a lot of the time. Most of the time, it stays around 12. And zone 1 is like the lowest zone of volatility. And that's when, zone 1 is when volatility is between 9 and 12, something like that. And, options are a little bit higher priced than that, but, you're kind of bottom feeding and nothing is going on. And it kind of stays around there or in zone 2 being 12 to, I guess, 14, somewhere around then, where it's not total low, but it's just kind of in this nothing range. And we're kind of still in that range right now. And, with the political news, there was a little bit of a pop, but if we look, this is not really a perfect time to look at the term structure, but let's look at it now anyways. And the reason I say that is because we just expired. The expiration was just less than an hour ago. So, or actually it's happening right now. What time is it now? Yeah, it's happened 10 minutes ago. So this isn't the perfect time to look at the term structure. However, let's look at it anyway. And we see what was the second and third months now becoming the front months. And so what sticks out here? Well, first of all, the distance, I always like to look and see what the distance is between the front month future, what has just become the front month future, and spot right after expiration. And we see that the difference now, if you were to subtract 1326 from 1470, you would get, or 65 now, you would get 40 cents. So you've got $1.40 is the spread between these two. Now, $1.40 is on the narrow side, right, for expiration. And the reason it's on the narrow side is because we've gotten this pop and this up move in the VIX in the last few hours. So every time you get an up move in the VIX, this roll yield, or the difference between the spot VIX price and the front month future, tends to contract. And now contango 4.1% we're showing right here is within the range that it's been lately, but narrower than in general. In general, we've been over 5% for the last month or two. We've been hanging out around like 6-7%. And I would expect by the end of the day that we could get there, that we could get over 5 or higher, as long as we don't spike too much in volatility. But the curve is looking normal now, even right after expiration. I mean, contango over 4%. There is space between these two. We're not in like a super spike situation. If we were in a super spike situation, the spot would be above the M1 future or a lot closer to it. I mean, there's still over a point between these two. So fairly normalized situation here as we come into the day today. So let's take a look at our major indices. We've got the E-minis down 8, the Dow futures down 54, and the NASDAQ down 15. Today, there will be, I am doing an interview later in the afternoon. Thank you for new Patreon supporters. Please, look, I've had money. I've been damn close to homeless before with nothing. I know that if you're watching this, that you can afford to pay $1 toward my Patreon, and it would be, if every person gave $1 who is watching this, I would be elated. Patreon is a setup where you can support people directly who are, I guess, creatives or who create stuff. And the way it works is you go to the link in the description to Patreon, and you set it up with your credit card or bank to give $1 a month, or maybe $2 a month, and or $5, and that way I don't have to deal as much with advertisers, with as many side jobs. Like right now, I've got a couple side jobs. I work as a bartender at a resort, and I also work at a gas station, and I also am a YouTuber. So I would love to get rid of one of those side jobs, and the way I could do that is through Patreon. Now I'm really grateful for the people who've given. This month I picked up some new people in the $10 range and the $5 range. And I'm going to be offering Patreon exclusive content. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put up interviews before they drop on YouTube. They're going to drop on Patreon. And I'm also going to put unedited interviews where you're going to get longer interviews from people, and I'm also going to have some exclusive discussions with people on Patreon. So check it out. I know that if you're watching this, that you can afford to have to put $1 into this. People who are trying to figure out how to trade options and stuff have brokerage accounts and have banks and stuff. So no excuse. If you're watching, please just give $1 or $2. It's no big deal for you. It helps me out huge, because all this stuff costs money. I'm bringing on now an engineer who you're going to see in the background of some of these videos, who's going to be helping me to kind of tighten up my live game here. For me, working the screens and clicking stuff while I'm talking can be a bit of a challenge. I want a slicker setup, so I am bringing in somebody, but people don't do stuff for free, and it costs money. There's people pay thousands of dollars for to learn about stocks and stuff, and if you you get to watch me for free anytime you want, and so kicking down $1 or $2, and helping support, being part of this thing that is this channel that basically started a year ago, and the people that are watching me now, you're you're like in on the ground floor of something, and someday you're going to be able to look back and say, yeah, I was watching back then. And hopefully, my hope is that you're going to say, yeah, I watched that dude and I got an idea. One little thing he said, I happened to, click with me, and I bought this option, or I laid off this trade and it saved me money because I was watching one of his videos. Or, I didn't know about the short vol trade, but now I understand a little bit better about term structure. And that got me into trading Tesla or something, and I made a bunch of money on Tesla because I watched him, or Square, or something that I was able to help you out and hook you up. That is my hope, that I can hook people up. I was trained professionally by a big trading firm how to trade, and I was mentored by some, really top rate individuals. I think of like Uncle Bill Grabitas. I think of Gary Sparks, Steve Robertson. I think of all these people who helped me to, sat down with me and explained, okay, I think Andrew G. explained about, trading, and, helped me to get it, and made me a little bit more savvy in life, made me a bit more assertive. Made me a little less of a wimp and more of a person who is willing to stand up and be counted, and aggressively jump in there and take some money out of the market. And I think, wow, I can pass some of that knowledge forward, because you look on StockTwits and there's a lot of people there that really just don't have a lot of knowledge, and they try to front that they do, but they just don't have the knowledge, and there's nothing wrong with that. You got to learn it from somebody, and my hope is that I can just pass a little bit of that forward. And what might ask you is that you could give a buck or two on Patreon to help this process along, because it costs money to do shows. It costs time. It takes time. I've got a bunch of equipment, and every minute that I'm working on this stuff is time that I could be doing a job or something else that I spend on this. So, and I guarantee, even if every single person that's watching this right now gives on Patreon, I'm still, it still is not paying me a decent wage. I do this out of love, and because it's something that is a passion. And I think every YouTuber starts out that way. Being successful on YouTube is not, you don't get in it for the money. I guarantee that to you, because the hours you spend, I mean, if I chalked up all the hours I spent and divided by the amount of money I've made off of YouTube, it would be far below minimum wage. And I think the majority of people on YouTube would agree with that. Anyways, I don't rant very often. You don't see me saying, every video, please subscribe. You have to, please add me on Facebook and subscribe to my Twitter and all that stuff. I don't do that on every video. I don't really hassle people that much. In fact, I'm bad at mentioning my advertiser. I should do that. I have an advertiser called Gorilla Trades, and ever since they became my sponsor, I've been actually following their content, and they make amazing calls all the time. So, I wanted to associate myself with a winner for an advertiser. I didn't just want to have just anybody, and part of me did want to just have whoever would take me to some extent. And I kind of found Gorilla Trades in that way. I went on this, I think it's a YouTube sponsor website that supposedly hooks you up with, now I'm going to try to pull up the founder of Gorilla Trades, because he's really the force behind it, so that you can see what he looks like. Berman, hold on. Ken Berman. So you can see what he looks like. But Ken Berman is a stock picking genius. Here he is, a picture of him in back there, and he, he's made a fortune picking stocks, and he, he started guerrilla trades because he's like, look, I can sell this to people because I know how to pick them, and so he comes out like maybe once every 2 weeks. He picks like an options vertical to look at, and I started following them since they've sponsored me, and I mean, the vast majority are huge winners. This guy is a genius, and so I'm happier and happier to be sponsored by them, and you should definitely check them out because seriously, it will make you money. And I'm not saying that because I'm sponsored by them. I'm saying that because I've been following it. Let's just take a look. I don't mean to get too off the subject here, but let me just. I'm gonna key you in on just like one or two of their calls right now. I can't give you all their calls all the time because that wouldn't be fair to them because you want to subscribe to them to get that. But for example, they came out with a buy on Merck yesterday or the day before. Stock was $1 higher, so it's probably even a better place to get in. But they were saying Merck, I think it was October 70-75 call vertical. Okay, so here's 180-day Merck. So they said buy the 70-75 call vertical for October. So we'll see what happens. Stock's down another $1, so it's even a cheaper place to buy it. Volatility looks relatively inexpensive. So if we look at October and Merck, the 70 call is offered at $1.38 right now. The 75 is 17 cents, bid at 19. Now for me, if I'm buying a call vertical, I'm buying the one call and I'm selling the other. If it's only an 18-cent call that I'm selling, I'd rather just hold on to the long call. Why give up the potential of unlimited upside, from $75 on up to infinity for 18 cents? I mean, I would understand if this was more like 40 cents, and I think it was higher when they made the call, but in this case, I would rather just buy the call outright than sell some other call against it for like 18 cents. But their call was buy the October 70 call and sell the 75 call. So you can check that one out. They made a very similar call. Most of their calls on options are just verticals, which is not too sophisticated for options, but the thing is, it is employing options in a very, very basic but a functional way of putting a trade on that has limited risk, but takes advantage of the leverage of options. Because if you've got the stock, it's a $69 stock, you can take advantage of a small percentage move to almost double your money with this spread. Actually, you can more than double your money because you're only paying like $1.25 or something for a spread that could be worth $5. Another one that they made like a month ago was Costco, and this one's already pretty much come to fruition. When Costco was trading $119, when Costco was trading $219, they made this call, the 222.25 call vertical. Or no, maybe it was the 230, but it was either the 222.25 call vertical or the 222.30 call vertical. And they said buy it. Stock was $219, and it's come to fruition. They made a similar call a couple days ago in Apple. They said, now I watch the options ones more than other stuff because I'm sort of an options guy, but they mostly just make stock calls, but these are just some options ones. They said Apple. It was I think it was like the 220-225 call vertical in Apple, but a bullish call vertical in Apple also. And, with a pullback like today, these things are even better prices to jump into. But yeah, check out Guerrilla Trades. Awesome. They make awesome calls all the time. I don't know what else to say about it, really. So let's get back to the VIX. So the position I have on is I am short a vertical in VXX, and it is once again the 28.32 spread call vertical in October. So I've got 58 days to go for this to be under 28. It's popped since I put this on. I put it on versus 29. sorry, I put it on versus, I think I put it on versus 29 stock, something like that. Hold on, let me take a look at where it was yesterday. I think I put it on versus 29 stock, but it's gone against me a little bit today. But the thing about it is that that actually I put it on versus 28.80, something like that. The thing about it is that I've got 58 days to go on this, so I'm really not concerned. If we look at the chart, a 20-day chart, so it needs to be stock needs to be 28 or below in 2 months. So I've got time on this one, so I'm not that concerned. It did go against me yesterday because of that pop, but as a hedge yesterday, UVXY, I bought the front week 9, 10.5 call vertical, and UVXY was all the way up to like 905 or something before, so that call vertical was actually in the money. And if we got a huge pop, I had the call vertical on 3 times, which isn't a lot, but it's going to make me a few $100 to the upside if we get a big pop. So that helps against the spread I have short in VXX in a huge pop situation. And we could get volatility to continue to expand today. I mean, if you look at it right now, it's kind of been back and forth all morning. You can see this wild activity in the overnight. I mean, it's not super wild. The numbers here are only between 8.5 and 9.10, but up and down a little bit, and definitely higher than we closed as far as volatility goes. Okay, so the VIX currently up 15 cents. Not a huge move. Like I said, I do expect the relationship between the new M1, which would be September, and October futures to expand, the contango between them to expand. I do expect, as we pull up our VIX Central chart again, I do expect the front month future to go down a little bit and the second month future to go up a little bit as they start to put this roll on. And indeed, right now, right now, I'm still showing August. Right now, I'm showing SEP and OCC both up 2.5 cents. So they're not doing a whole lot right this second. And as I look through expiration, we saw a little bit of movement around the 13 strike here for the front month future, but not a whole lot of action on expiration here, just kind of hanging out. We haven't seen some of the wild sort of suspicious moves that we see sometimes on expiration, so that's good. So into the day, we'll see what happens. It seems to me like it's setting up for a rally back out of what's happened today. I mean, even he's now down 475. I could see this market coming completely back and going up on the day pretty easily. If you look at the chart here for the E-minis, you see we're definitely off the lows. Definitely off the lows right now. NASDAQ. Let's see, E-mini. $10-day. Let's see, E-mini 1-day. All right, sorry, that's a better chart. So we're off the lows here. You can see from yesterday. I don't know why. Hold on. There we go. All right. And kind of just not doing a whole lot. So I can definitely see this market rallying from here. There's not a whole lot of conviction to the downside, but we'll have to see when we come into the day. Once again, interview today, later in the day. That should be exciting. Thanks for watching this setup. I have been looking at Facebook and kind of try to figure out if the sort of sell-off in Facebook has sort of petered out. If we look at the 20-day chart for Facebook, this takes us basically from earnings forward, and you can see, you know, it tried to rally off of earnings, and ever since then it's been on this grinding sell-off for like 10 days now, every day selling off. If we look at the chart though over a year, you see it rallying. So I personally don't think this sell-off can continue forever. Here's a 3-year chart of Facebook, which kind of puts it more in perspective. And I'm kind of looking when to kind of jump back on this roller coaster. I did get burned before pretty badly, so not really eager to jump in the water right here, but still kind of following this one. Tesla, you know, we had that sell-off kind of right after the newspaper article in the New York Times with Elon Musk. But since then, we've kind of rallied back a little bit. Now, this thing is kind of in the same place it was a month ago. After all the drama, we're kind of right back to like the 320 range. So that calendar I was talking about, I'm probably going to put it back on a little bit, maybe center around the 330 strike. It seems to just come back to this area all the time. And so if you have this position on small, and what I'm talking about is maybe buying the ACK 330 and selling a SEP 330, something like that. So if we were to buy, I'm going to click on the offer for the 330 call in October, and then I'm going to go up to maybe like SEP 23 days out and sell the 330 call, click on the bid while holding down control. Now I've got a spread, so $10. So basically $1,000 each spread, $995 each spread. And if we analyze this, what I did was I right-clicked and I went to the Analyze tab. I'm going to erase this other thing I had in there. So each time you do this, it's $13 in theta per day. So for $1,000, you get 13 a day. It doesn't sound like a lot, and the reason that is because I'm picking September's still kind of far out there in term. It's still 23 days out, but if we start to click through the days here, you're going to see that theta number is going to start increasing. So let's say you have this on 5 times for $5,000. Well, if we start with today, 5 times you get 71 a day. As you click through the days, your theta is increase. If you pick the 330 spread, you're a little bit bullish. You know, you're thinking it's going to continue to rally a little bit, and you're going to be long deltas up through 330, and then you'll start getting short after that. So, you know, when I do a spread in Tesla, I generally center it around wherever the strike is right now. But if you do have a little bit of a bias to the upside or downside, you can center the strike a little bit higher or lower. Right now, we're right around 320. So what I would probably do is center it at 320. That way, you kind of pretty flat deltas. Let's reset this date to now. You know, you're kind of pretty much flat deltas, and that way, it can move around the range, and as long as it comes back to the general area, you're going to collect that $71 a day. So that's still a spread that I like to have. I was tweeting yesterday about scalping calls in CGC, so let's take a look at that for a second. So CGC has been really very strong lately, starting with earnings. We had a big rally. You can see the rip up to 40 for the day after earnings here, and then continued strength after that. So I did get long yesterday, buying some October 40 calls and scalped them out higher. We are seeing a retracement. Now, the danger here with a stock that looks like this is it could rip back down at any moment. So it's definitely a risky game to be playing with this, but there is money to be made on both sides if you are willing to take the risk. It's just a question of being disciplined. I did I bought some calls, sold them out for a 50-cent winner in like 10 minutes yesterday. And I was like, oh, great. But then, of course, I dipped back in. And the second time it didn't work so well. And I was able to, get out of my... I bought some more calls. I bought which ones did I buy? So the first trade I did was I bought October 40 calls for 330, and I sold them for 380 like 10 minutes later or something. Then I tried to get more greedy. I bought September 42s, right, for 220 at the time. Stock was like 40, and they immediately went in my face. Stock went from 40 to like 37 in like an hour, and I was in a lot of pain from those. So if we look at yesterday, so stock was around 40. I bought these calls and it went straight down. It went to like 37.5, and I was like, ugh, ugh. Then I just hung out, and you see this move up here to 39 and change, like right around the top of that move. I got out of my calls for, I think it was like 170 or something, and hold on. And was able to kind of get out of them, but it wasn't fun. 1 day back from today. Okay, so count state 1 day back from today. It doesn't show. I don't know how to do it. But anyway, I bought the calls for 220 and I sold them for, I think, like 185. Yeah, that was it, 185. So loser on that one, but paired with the winner on the first one, I ended up making money on the day, which was good. Save it for 1 day ago. $8.21. All right, here we go. Sorry, it took me a second. Okay, so so just to kind of prove this here. So here we have behind me so sometimes people were asking me to like prove that the people I had on were making money or something. People don't believe anything. So anyways, here you can see behind me, if you close up, CGC buying 10 calls, OC40, 330. Okay, 937, 944, selling 10 calls, 380. So that's 7 minutes. In 7 minutes, I scalp 50 cents on these calls. But then you see me buying the 42 calls, 220, 220. I bought some for 220, and I bought the last one for 151. And then you see them selling them back out for 185. So those were losers. Loser, loser. $500 winner, then loser. But, these calls did get down to like 140. So at least I was able to get out for not too much of a loss and still overall in the day make money on CGC. So there you have it, folks. Proof. I do have these old P&L sheets from Group 1, which I wanted to show sometime, just showing what it was like as a market maker way back when. And I will do that for a separate video. Anyway, I'm going to let you get on with the market now as we head toward the open. It's 9:10 right now, so we're getting closer to the open. Let's look on my dashboard for a second here. See if anybody has some comment. One which I wanted to show sometime. All right, so no comments right now. Thank you for watching today, and good luck trading, and we will see you next time on your short vol show. I don't think that the interview today is going to be live, but if I can make it live, I will, because I think that's more fun to have it live. All right, thanks for watching, folks, and good luck trading today.
Ambiance.
Bye. Thanks. Patreon, subscribe, and please subscribe and give $5 on Patreon. I know that you can afford it. Please hook me up. I really appreciate it. Thank you.